Welcome to USB Hold, the podcast where we talk out of our asses. My name is Sarah, aka Chill.
I'm Teresa, aka The Child. Hit us up on Twitter at ChillinChild.
Today we're going to talk about sexuality. So, Teresa, if you want to start us off.
Oh yeah, throw me into this. This is gonna be like about our experiences with sexuality
Right.
um, and kind of like I don't know, coming out stories. At least for me, because very few people know how I identify, and so you
Same.
wanna, yeah. So that I'm pretty nervous right now, much more nervous than the last episode we recorded. And so hopefully that doesn't throw me off in our like like our banter and our discourse back and forth because we're usually pretty good at that. And yeah, so you want to start out by like saying like what I identify as?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so like for the longest time I never really thought that I identified as anything and I didn't really feel like oh I need a label or whatever. But so like the past year, especially like the past 6 months, I really been like being more affected by it and feeling like I needed some kind of label, and not that I need it, but like for other people to like explain because you get tired of people asking questions. Just being single when you're 35 is like, oh my gosh, can't do that. So I guess like what I've been labeling myself as would be like pansexual, and I don't know like am I supposed to like say what that makes me, or like I don't know. You want to say what you are? I don't know how far I should get into myself before you get into you.
I think that we can just say what we are first. So,
Okay.
I
Okay. Cool.
usually I usually tell people, well, I usually don't tell people anything because currently I've been in a relationship for 11 years with a cis male. So there really hasn't been, I guess, a reason to disclose what I am other than if I'm trying to do something as part of the community or as an ally or anything like that. But I am bisexual and I usually go with that term over pansexual, which we can get into later. But I'll tell you the first time I realized that I was also into women. Um, because like you, I didn't really have a label or think I needed a label when I was younger, and that was more like the 90s and early 2000s where it wasn't like a big thing to not that it's a big thing, but like there was no reason to explain who I was because
Right.
I didn't think of it that way. I just thought, I am who I am. Why do I need to label it? So the first time I knew I was into women was in high school. I think I was a junior, and there was a girl that I'd known for a little while, but never really thought about her this way until high school. So I'll call her Mary. That's not her real name, but I'm not gonna call
Oh
her
yeah.
out. Because she has no idea that I ever had the hots for her. But I felt something for her, but I didn't know exactly what it was because at the time when I was a kid, I had always had crushes on men or boys, I guess at the time. But like ever since I was 6, I was boy crazy. And I even had my first boyfriend in like first grade. So in high school when I saw her, like I felt different. I just felt different about her. Like I thought she was cute. I thought she was like I don't know, just everything about her I liked, and I was like, "Do I like girls, or is this just like I want to be friends with you?" So it's kind of that type of turmoil inside my body. Like I don't know what I'm feeling, I don't know why, and I never thought I was into women, but I guess I was wrong.
And then it kind of like progressed more from there throughout
Yeah,
the
so
years.
I'm
Or not
more
progressed, but like you noticed or the feelings
right. I kind of
differently.
opened up myself to the possibility that I was into women and then kind of just noticed, hey, maybe I'm not just into men.
Okay. I guess like my story is a little bit harder. Like it's not like it took me a long time to realize it, and I don't know like how comfortable you are me getting into it, but so like when I
Go
was
for it.
growing up, like when I was younger, I I didn't know like being asexual was a thing, but like looking back now at the time that would be how I would have described myself because I had no interest in like dating or like schoolyard crushes, like not elementary. Like I would probably say I was probably in like eighth grade before I even like thought I had a crush on someone. But so like that's how I thought it was. Like all the friends talked about like school years, oh my boyfriend, oh I like that person, like, oh you have a crush, blah blah, whatever. And I never had those feelings. Well, it turns out that was just trauma, but you know,
Okay.
so it had nothing to do with me not actually having those feelings. It was just like a repression where like I blocked out stuff so I didn't think about those things. But so then like as I started to get older, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I like boys. Like, all right, this makes sense. And then recently, like as I've been like going through this and like trying to really figure it out more for myself, I was thinking about this time. Again, I'm not gonna name names. So like in elementary school, I would say it was probably like third or fourth grade. I just like this one girl was like the coolest girl. And I would just always be like, always wanted to do everything with her in class. Like, and what we weren't even like best friends or like friends, we didn't hang out outside of class, but like in class, like I needed to always be doing whatever that girl was doing. And like at the time, I thought it was just like, oh, she's cool, she's popular, whatever. And then I'm like, I don't know, like takes I don't know how to explain it necessarily, but like so one of my boy friends that were boys, you know, they were like, "Oh yeah, I like her," and "Oh yeah, she's gonna be my girlfriend." And I'd be like, "She can't be your girlfriend. Like she's not allowed to have a boyfriend." Like I was like possessive over it. I was like, "Well, you know, like she can't be my girlfriend because I'm a girl and like I'm not understanding or like wanting like the boyfriend like ooh type of thing." But I was like, no, she can't have a like I was so possessive over her. And now that like I've been doing this like thinking back on it, like I think it like was because I liked her and I didn't understand that like it was okay to like her because, you know, progress. But like I definitely grew up in an area where it was not okay to be gay. Um so like those were definitely weren't things that kids talked about. So I just thought, oh well, she can't be my girlfriend, so she can't be anybody's girlfriend. But so it took me a long time, but like I don't know, I guess that would kind of be like the first time that I was like that, but it wasn't like I didn't like her because she was a girl. She was just so cool and I was like just like infatuated with her, I guess. And then you know, a couple other times the same situation, and it was specifically like the person and not like, oh, she's hot or whatever. It's like, oh, this person is really cool and I really want to spend more time with this person and like their
Yeah.
personality drives me like drew me in. So like I think that would probably be like the first time, but I didn't realize it until I would say like my mid 20s, because I had another friend that I like had like a year long kind of like long distance relationship with, and like I had a lot of turmoil at the time then too because I was like I'm not bisexual and I don't like women, but we had like this really strong like emotional connection to the point where like she was gonna move um to where I lived to live with me and just have a non-sexual relationship because I was like, well, I don't like women, so I don't know how that's gonna work. And then like, you know, that obviously didn't work out, but I'm trying not to like jump too far ahead in like the differences and whatnot. But so I'm like, I think that was the first time where I realized that like, okay, well, I could have a relationship with her even though she's a she, but I wasn't thinking like it could be sexual because I'm like, oh, I don't like women, like that's, but I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it, I guess. For like, because now I feel differently in regards to that, but like at the time, and that was like for a year, and at the same time, I was still like going out on dates with men because I thought, oh, okay, well, I like men. I like sleeping, like having sexual activities with men because at that point I hadn't ever with a woman, and I don't know. It's I don't know. I'm nervous. Sorry.
Well, that was
Uh,
kind of a lead into one of my questions, because stupid camera. Because if you were saying that you wanted to have sex with men, but a relationship with a woman, are you kind of more attracted to women romantically and more attracted to men physically?
I like so jump forward to like the present. I don't have a preference. So like for romantically, it's 100% about the person. Like I don't care if they're a cis male, if they're trans male, cis female, trans female, or anything in between. Like that, like I when I have like a crush or like a sparked connection, it's to the person and their personality. But like if you were going just strictly physically, like my immediate physical reaction is definitely towards men, but there are women that I find attractive, but that's kind of where I feel like it starts to cross or like blur a line between being pansexual and being bisexual because I don't typically just think, oh, this man's attractive or oh, this woman is attractive. Like I'm really attracted to the person themselves. Do you know, like, does that make sense?
Yes. It just kind of furthers more questions. Do you think, sorry, I don't know how this became a question and answer session, but
No, I mean it's
I
cool.
have
I
so
feel like
many
it's
questions.
definitely helping. Like it's such a unique topic that there are no like black and white answers. So I
Yeah,
feel like questions are really the best way to go about and like finding who you are and like just
yeah.
being yourself.
And I think both of us kind of have different perspectives on it, so it's good to hear all sides. But do you think, because a lot of people say that sexuality is a spectrum, so you're saying you're pansexual, you like anybody regardless of anything just based on their personality, but do you believe that you are on some sort of spectrum? Like you would lean more towards men, more towards women, more towards cis men, more towards cis women, that type of thing.
For in a actual sexual like the a physical aspect,
Either way.
then yeah, probably like physical aspect, I definitely generally lean more towards men. Um, but I'm also very attracted to trans men. And so I would say it's probably like men, trans men, and then women. I don't know. But I'm not, but like I said, that doesn't affect, like, I feel like it's such a, it is a spectrum and it's so hard to like pin it down because there's not like a box. And I guess that's really why like I have such a hard time like putting a label because I just feel like it's so hard to narrow down and put in a name on because it's not, I guess maybe like the sexuality part of it, like the physical sexuality, I lean more one direction, but like for the emotional connection, which in my opinion can also be sexual to have a good emotional connection with somebody and like that kind of being attracted, then like I have no limits.
Right. Because what I was thinking, I mean, I tend to lean more towards men. Um, I would say it's definitely a spectrum, and I would say it definitely depends, like you said, on where the connection is happening. But if you want that immediate kind of reaction, like I look at somebody and I think, oh, I would like to date them, or oh, I would like to be on that, or whatever. I would say that that happens more with men, just in
Okay.
general. If I'm
Yeah.
looking at a group of people, I would probably tend to look more towards the men.
Right.
And with the women, it has to be kind of that personal, like you were saying, a personality connection, kind of romantic thing. Because there's never been a woman I've been attracted to that I didn't know.
Okay. So you're not necessarily like say like not to sexualize a person, just or like like ogle them, but like
Right.
using them as an example, like if you were at the beach and there was a man, an, an attractive man and an attractive cis man, an attractive cis woman, you would be more likely to look at the man. And
Right.
again, not in like a sect. I'm not trying to like say that's okay, but I'm like use that as an
We're
example.
not ogling
Does that make
people. We're
sense?
just,
Right,
yeah.
right, right. Yeah. I'm not out there like I don't know. I don't know. The word is escaping me at the moment.
I'm just saying if I was on Tinder, I would probably swipe more on men than women in the long run.
Okay. Okay.
Just because I don't know the women and the men, it's more of a physical attraction.
So you need like
So,
a little spark or something to get you more interested in the particular woman.
right. And it's not to say I don't think women are attractive. I could look at someone and say if they're attractive or not. That's not
Hmm.
the case by
Hmm.
if I want to date them, though. Like,
Right, right.
so my woman celebrity crush is Shay Mitchell. I don't know
Okay.
her. I think she's attractive, but I've seen enough of her, like on Instagram or whatever. Even that's enough, just knowing them like through social media.
Okay.
But not knowing someone at all, if someone said, here's a man and a woman, they're both equally attractive, I would probably tend to look more towards the man.
Okay.
But that's
Yes.
not to say I wouldn't date anyone. And that's including trans men, it's not just cis.
Okay.
So I think it's just the male physique. I don't know
Yeah. I
why.
think that's where it comes back into like blurring the lines between bisexuality and pansexuality, and I feel like sexuality is just like a construct. Like
Yeah,
like how you put it, it's a spectrum, and I don't. I personally don't feel like I need to have a label, but I guess, like I said, that would be the one that I would like if you were putting it in a box, it would make the most sense or like the easiest to explain to people. I don't know, some people do like they have their check marks and like that's what they identify as, and that's part of their personality and that's part of like how they introduce themselves to the world. But for me, like I don't necessarily need it, and I 100% respect other people needing it, but I just feel like I'm all about like if your personality is dope, like I'm into you.
yeah,
But also if you're really hot, I might be like, dang, you're pretty hot. In which most cases it is men, but that's where it goes back to the line between whether or not like I would be bisexual, which I don't feel that I am, but like if there I can definitely appreciate a hot chick, like a nice pair of tits. Heck yeah, like
everyone
you
loves
know,
titties.
yeah. So that's why I'm like, well, does that make me bisexual? But I don't think so because I don't think that's like my ultimate reason for choosing a partner.
Right.
Be because like, oh, you got a nice rack, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I mean, I know it sounds bad, but I think physical attraction is what gets you in the door. Like, especially with online dating, you're only going off of a few sentences these people wrote, which could be a lie or not. You have no idea. And
right.
then looking at all their pictures. So,
Yeah.
in this, especially in this culture, if we're gonna date someone, it's most likely gonna be off of looks. So, if I'm going off of that, then I'm probably going to end up with a man just because of what I said earlier. But I definitely would not
Yeah.
count out going on dates with women too.
Yeah, if you would have to have like a specific or like not specific, but like a different opportunity for meeting the woman,
Mm,
um, to be able to like put yourself out there and get that vibe from her,
yeah,
you think?
if we were doing something like, obviously I'm not single, but if I was going to some place to meet up with a bunch of like-minded people, like we all wanted to play board games or we all were doing sports or hiking or whatever, and I met someone doing that, that would be a completely different story. Like
You would
that
have,
would we
yeah.
would have something in common,
Okay.
and then I would get to know their personality better. Whereas just swiping, you don't know these people. I would talk to them, I would try and get to know them, but I still think I would end up just subconsciously swiping more on men.
Yeah, I think dating in an online world is like a whole other ball
Oh
game.
yeah.
Like I've done like some online dating, but I have never has it's I've never put an option for women because this is like a new realization and like coming to terms, like I said, like within like the last year or whatnot. So it's not like I haven't done dating. I haven't done dating. I haven't even attempted dating since like the last time I went on a date was like right at the beginning of the pandemic. I was like trying out the online thing again. I gave it a chance and I was like talking to this guy and we hung out and it didn't go anywhere. But then I was just like, yeah, guys, there's so much work and it's like for what? And then I kind of got started getting into like, well, do I have to only date like cis men? Like that's so but again, still like I said, if anybody who personally knows me hears this podcast, like, hey, I'm not straight. So
Yeah,
like I mean there's probably like including you obviously like 5 people in my life that like know. But I also don't feel like people need to know like who I am or whatnot, but like I guess I also couldn't be set up with somebody if I don't give the options of like, hey, maybe there's some really cool like person who I normally wouldn't be introduced to because people weren't expecting it.
right.
Um, so I don't know, but that's something that I've been like contemplating, like adding to my spectrum of choices for potential suitors. This is like the 1600 like potential suitors. But I don't know.
I
Um,
only tried online dating once, and that was because, well, me and my boyfriend started dating in what, 2011, so it wasn't really a big thing back
yeah,
then.
right. I mean,
It was out there, like my mom, I think, used it a couple times, but
yeah,
it wasn't as easily available. And I didn't even, I had like a BlackBerry, you couldn't even download apps and stuff. So I don't,
yeah.
it was too early, but
You weren't dating
we
in the Tinder world. Like you
no,
weren't swiping.
not yet. But
Yeah.
in 2015, we did break up for a little bit. So I did go on Tinder. We actually ended up matching. That was weird. But
You and your
um,
current partner?
yeah.
I'm just leaving names off. So like you and Cut 'em Up matched on Tinder? That
He
is adorable.
No, we matched on Tinder after we broke up.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's
That's
adorable that like
we
you
did
broke
it
up and then
we did it to be funny. The only people I matched with on
oh,
Tinder was to be funny. Like it was people I knew.
okay. Okay.
And so it we did nothing. But I don't think I had women on there because at the time I still don't think that I thought I was fully bisexual. And I had probably a couple crushes on women at that point, and I don't know why I still didn't include it. Now thinking about it, if I was single today, I definitely would. So
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
think you're more
why.
I think you're
Um,
more confident now in yourself and how you feel
maybe
or in like what your thoughts mean maybe because
it
like
could be.
yeah for myself too like thinking back yeah I probably would have done the same thing but at the time I definitely didn't like even give myself those options
Right.
and another like again like when I was been going through like things recently and like I know we were gonna do this episode of the podcast and I kind of like to just fly off the seat of my pants and not do a lot of preparation because I feel like it's more off the cuff that way.
Same.
But because these things were already like this is a internal battle that I've been struggling with, for a little while now, as you know, and that's kind of one of the reasons we decided to talk about it. But I was thinking like in 2015, 2016, I had a good friend and she and I are no longer friends. And this has nothing to do with why we're not friends, but we are no longer friends. And I'm not going to mention a name either because I definitely don't want people to know. But we hung out a lot and she was like really cool and she's very physically attractive. But I didn't at the time realize that. I thought she was just like my cool friend that like I hung out with and like we went to concerts and did all this cool stuff. And she was in a relationship and that particular person wasn't always around because he worked far away. Like he worked in another state or something and he would like travel or whatever. So like when he was out of town, we would hang out more because she'd be alone. And so we would like go do stuff all the time. And I remember we were at a concert one time and like she like had her arm linked in mine, you know, like girls do, like they're
Yeah.
like that's what they do, like girlfriends, like oh my God, girlfriend, you know. And and I remember I just like looked at her and I just like had those like little fuzzies, you know. But I was like, oh, this is, you know, she's so cool. But like thinking back at it, I'm like, dude, apparently like I just told myself no, like I don't, but I was like totally into her. But I didn't like I wouldn't say that I didn't know it. I think I just like repressed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause definitely even in 2006, 2015, 16, I would never have told anyone that like I had feelings for a female. And it's so weird because my entire life I've always I'm not even like, oh, I'm an ally. But like I took my gay best friend to prom with me because like even in 2005 like we weren't allowed to have same-sex couples at our prom. So I took him to prom so that he could be, you know, go with his boyfriend who was in our whole friend group. I got my entire friend group in high school, everyone was queer. But I guess I was like the last one to know it, like that I was also queer, I guess. And like since then, like they're all in like all in relationships still, like long-term relationships with their same-sex partners, or one of them is oh, you know, my best friend that I talk about all the time, but I'm not going to mention her name either. She goes back and forth, so she's bisexual, but she's currently in a relationship with a man. But does kind of like she hasn't dated a female since high school, but still does like when she's not in a relationship, she'll do her little like gay hookups to like she says it just kind of like fills her needs, you know. But I like they're all like I would never tell them either until now. And like she and I have only recently discussed it. And I don't know why that like even though all of my friends were gay or lesbian and like I'm like, no, I couldn't possibly tell you that I had feelings for a woman. Like I was embarrassed for myself. And like I'm embarrassed for myself now to say that I felt that way because I feel like it's like a really dick move. Like how can I be here supporting all of my friends and like saying like you should be treated the same as everyone else when I'm like too like disgusted with myself to tell you that I also feel the same way? Like I don't really know how to unpack that. That's why like I said, I've just been like spiraling recently, like trying to deal with this stuff and like how to figure it out and tell people about it.
I mean, you're not the only person who has gone through that struggle, so I hope
Oh,
you
I'm
don't feel
yeah.
too bad about it, but it's it's hard to think you're some way for so long and then all of a sudden there's just something completely different. It's like a snap in your brain and you don't know how to process it. And like I said, I never really cared about what people thought of me growing up. So I just never thought about it because I was like, I'm me. And if you have
Mhm.
a problem with it, fuck off. Like I
Right,
just I just felt like a progressive person in a non-progressive life, but never really thought of it that way because I was like, I'm just going to be me. So the thought of a label didn't cross my mind, and the thought of going after and dating a woman didn't cross my mind because I was like, I don't know. I was like, I've just always been into men, but sometimes a woman comes along and it's like, hey. But because I've been in a relationship so long, I never pursued it, obviously, but it was just something that was in the back of my mind that never really came forward because it never had to.
right. I just like I mentioned before, like growing up where I would have thought I was asexual, but I didn't know what that meant at the time. Um, and I had an outward appearance that would be very stereotypical, like butch lesbian. Again, stereotypical. Um, so most people just assumed that again, I hung out with everyone that I hung out with was gay, and they just assumed I was a lesbian, and I'd constantly be like, no, I'm not. I'm not a lesbian. I'm not a lesbian. I'm not a lesbian. Well, still, I'm not a lesbian, but apparently, like back then, maybe like other people knew something that I didn't know, but like. Uh, I don't know, I just like the world has come so far since then, but still obviously like has so much further to go. But
Right.
like I just think about like how different like if you would have known sooner, like how much different your life would have been, or like if I would have just like not hated myself so much, even though I knew that I had friends that were just as supportive and they wouldn't have hated me, like how much different our lives would have been if we could have like unpacked this 15 years ago in like the world the way it is now.
I know high school wasn't even that long ago, and it's like a completely different thing. We would have probably been openly out in high
Well,
school.
I graduated 17 years ago. So like even if you just went to like my senior year, like 17 years, like the world has gotten a lot more progressive in the
Oh
last
yeah.
17 years. Like I said, my senior prom, like it was still you couldn't have same-sex couples at prom, even though there were openly gay students. There were, it was still like that, and it just wasn't allowed for no like obviously the reasoning is stupid, but like now I'm constantly doing stuff for same-sex couples for prom at work, but like that's awesome. But like yeah, like would our lives have been like totally different if we like knew who we were 15 years ago? Or would we
Probably.
still be like here trying to figure out what the hell we're doing and like how to be happy with like the people that we are?
Well, I think the biggest reason that I didn't kind of know who I was because I just didn't know that was an option. Like I was a woman, I was gonna date a man. That's how it was. That's how you thought about it. And my mom even had gay
Yeah.
friends, but I just didn't think about it. It just didn't even cross my mind because there was just so much hiding it still
Hmm.
because it just wasn't as accepted even back in the early 2000s, not nearly as much as it is now. Like we wouldn't be comfortable having this conversation back then.
Oh, absolutely not.
And without people being so open about it, I don't think I would have even realized that
That
it was
you
an
were?
option.
Or
Yeah,
okay.
that it
Yeah.
was an option that I could have. So I don't think it was, at least in my circumstance, I don't think it was because of bigotry. I don't think it was because I didn't want to be with women or I wanted to hide that fact. I just don't think I thought about it, which is
I could see
weird.
that. Yeah. Well, I mean, you might have just had like in your mind, you just thought like, no, that's not how it is or how it's supposed to be, and like subconsciously, you didn't even know you were telling yourself that it wasn't all right or it wasn't an option. Not even that it wasn't all right, just that it couldn't possibly be.
Right, because I knew it was all right. I was okay with
Yeah,
it, and I didn't have
yeah,
any qualms. Like I didn't think I was weird or different because I might have had a crush on a woman. I just thought, oh well, I kind of like her. If she was also gay, I could date her, but since she's not, oh well.
okay, yeah. I just feel like yeah, I think the conversation is going to keep going back to like you said, it's sexuality is a spectrum, and I feel like it's 2022. I hope that more people are learning to like accept themselves for who they are, and
Totally.
and and learn like there's so many options, and you don't have to be a specific thing, or
You don't have to pick a label.
yeah, you
It
can just
just
be you and be loved and like accepted, and that's really awesome. And if you feel like you can't, then like hit us up because we'll love you that way
definitely.
for who you are. We might not like be like not like we'll love you like we're gonna date you like this isn't gonna be like a group date thing. It's
This is
gonna be
not
like a
Tinder.
hit us up on Chillin' Child at Chillin' Child on Twitter, and we're gonna go on a quadruple date. But Chill has to bring her partner, cut him up, so that wouldn't work. So, but we'll definitely be there for you to like help you out in accepting yourself because we've definitely been there.
Yeah,
Um,
we're all over the open conversation. Like
yeah.
nothing is too hard or too scary or anything for us to handle.
Yeah. And questions too, like if you have questions about yourself or questions about us, we're down to answer those.
We're not
And
professionals, but
oh no, yeah, it's
we are
completely,
here for
again,
you.
we are here talking out of our ass all day, every day. Um, and and then I had like one last question for you too. Do you, I mean, it might not even be a last question, it's just one that's been in my head for the whole thing. So like you realized that you were bisexual or that you were attracted to women. Have you ever, and if you don't want to answer, like that's cool too, I respect that. Have you ever had an intimate times with a woman?
I was actually going to ask you the same question.
And I and if you haven't, like I'm definitely not saying it negates your feelings or anything. I'm just curious if you like if you did and it confirmed your thoughts or like how that worked for you.
Right. And to anyone out there, this, like she said, this does not negate anything if you haven't been with a woman, because people are virgins and still know they want to be with men. So,
100%
and
exactly.
vice versa.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, I was gonna say no, and then I remembered it's actually yes. So
Okay.
this is weird, and trigger warning, possible abuse. Um, not not too bad, but me and this girl were super good friends when we were younger. Also, this is kind of like child. This happened to a minor.
Okay.
So me and this girl were super close. We always talked about like everything. I was always at her house. We hung out all the time, and we had another friend who was actually my best friend who also hung out, but she wasn't there that day. So I don't remember how this happened, but we ended up scissoring with clothes on. So I don't know if we knew what we were doing exactly, because we were probably, I don't I don't remember if it was like upper grade elementary school or lower grade middle school, like fifth or sixth grade ish. But we had all our clothes on, everything like that, but we were clearly doing it to feel good. So, and I think she was being abused. Like we said, we're not going to name any names, but I
Mhm.
think that's because she was the instigator of this. I went along with it, so I wasn't
Mhm.
innocent in all this. But yeah, that was the one and only time, and
Okay.
it's kind of an interesting story. I didn't have any trauma as a kid. I was kind of overly sexual for some reason, but it wasn't a traumatic thing. But I think hers might have been.
Okay. But and you didn't necessarily know what you were doing at the time. You just
I knew it felt good.
right.
That was it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because we were gay, because I don't think she's gay. I'm not sure. I
Mhm.
can't speak for her, but I don't know why we did it. We just did it.
And is it something that you like repressed? Because I think you said when you mentioned that at first you were gonna say no and then you remembered that. So
I
do you think you like repressed it, like you were um like intentionally repressed it, or just like one of those things you just kind of forgot about?
most of my childhood I just kind of forgot about. I have a terrible long-term memory, don't know why.
Okay.
And also could have been trauma from other stuff, but that we're not going to get into here. No sexual trauma, but um I just don't remember a lot of my childhood. Some
Okay.
stuff pops up, but I didn't remember that until we brought it up. So,
Oh, still, I mean, it's interesting though because, like you said, you weren't thinking about dating girls or liking girls then, and then like it just kind of happened and you enjoyed it, but then you kind of forgot about it.
yeah.
I think even though your memory is trash, it could have been like a subconscious forgettal because you're like putting yourself in that box again, and you're like, well, I can't know that this felt good and it felt good with a girl.
I think my
Or you could have
memory is
just
just
forgot
trash.
it.
Yeah.
You
I
just
just
have trash memory,
I
yeah.
have trash memory because I've thought about it before, but like I just anything I think about my childhood, I just end up forgetting, and then it takes something to bring it back up. So I think it's just trash memory.
You compartmentalize. You're like, okay, well, I don't need this memory right now, so we're just gonna store it over here and then bring it back only when you need it.
Yeah, I need the space
Yeah.
for other things
Yeah.
like Twitter and other trash.
Right. Because we're on Twitter way too much, which is a whole nother episode in
Oh
itself.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, yeah, well for me, yeah. So I not to sound like a whore, but I'm a little sexually experienced when it comes around the track a few times. What is that thing? Something around a few times I've been around that track.
Don't make me remember sayings. Trash
Yeah.
memory.
So I mean, I in my like early and mid 20s, I definitely had a lot of that. Oh, well, oh, you're just girls at a party and you're drinking, so you're making out. Like a lot of that type of thing. And then,
Oh yeah, I've probably kissed a few girls doing that. I don't remember.
yeah, I've definitely kissed a few. I so like the the woman that I was talking about that I had like the like year long thing with, but I was like, well, I'm not, like you're a woman, you're like, can we just have like a non-sexual relationship? Like we attempted like I don't know, like I don't I guess cyber sex? I don't know, is that like a thing? Is that the name of it still? Like back then when it happened, that's probably what it was called. Like before sexting. I don't know. Like that type of situation and I just felt like really awkward. Um, but she had really nice boobs and they definitely turned me on. But also she turned me on because like she knew how to talk to me to like make me feel comfortable and like that kind of stuff. But like so like that didn't progress. And then I've had a threesome with like a guy, like a cis male and a cis female, and like there's the whole like obviously the making out, the whole boob stitch, some hand stuff, but I've never had like full on like I don't know like full on sex. I don't know like no scissoring, no oral with a woman. So but like so I have like that I don't know, like the toe in the pool. But like I said, it's like for me, it's the emotional thing with the woman. It's not necessarily like, oh, well, you're a woman, so I want to have sex with you. So I feel like that's where it comes back to me not being bisexual and me being pansexual because I'm not like super eager to get down on a lady. But like if I was dating a woman, I'm not going to be like, oh no, we're not going to be intimate. Do you know what I mean? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
And I think that could just be preference too, not just because it's a woman. I think because there are gay men who one prefers to be a top, one prefers to be a bottom. It's just
Right.
stuff like that, just preference. And it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I don't want to have sex with a woman. It's just, I don't know. I have a hard time going down on men, TMI. So I think I'd be the same with a woman. So I don't know. I think it's just preference. I don't know. I haven't had sex with a woman, so I cannot tell you. But
Um, So on next week's episode, we're gonna. No, I'm just kidding. Sarah's gonna have sex with a woman, so we can talk about it next week.
oh
Um,
man, cut him up
no,
would be
chill.
pissed.
We're not. That's not gonna happen. Redacted. Redacted. Don't
Okay,
edit it
so
out. Just redact it.
so now this brings up another question. So you've been saying that it's like a personality thing with women and all that, and that's what makes you pan. So what is your difference between bisexual and pan then?
In my opinion, and again, it's not textbook. This is just like from my life experience. I
Right.
feel like if you are bisexual, you are sexually attracted to both male and female, whether it be cis male or not, male and female like bodies, or like you are turned on or aroused by a male or a female. I am turned on or aroused by the person's personality. So regardless of your like what your gender or your body parts are, like I'm attracted to you. I'm not attracted to your body parts. I feel like that's what puts me further into the box of pansexual because it's not like if I'm just looking to like have sex with somebody, like I said, it would probably be a cis male because it's for just sex. But to date you or be like attracted to you, I'm gonna come for your personality. So that's where I feel like I don't care what's attached to your personality. So I feel like that's the difference. Where I feel like if I was bisexual, I would be attracted to the body and then want to be with them for their body. You know what I mean?
I do. I don't
Or
agree,
not
but I know what you mean.
not be with you for your body, but I mean like I said, if it's just for sex, like for a physical intimacy, I'm gonna go for like a cis male. But for like emotional intimacy, then I would just go for whatever or whomever because it's the personality that turns me on.
Right. I get it. I, in your definition, I would then be pan, not bi. But I think I tend to call myself bi because I think of it a completely different way. And like you said, we're both just talking out our asses. We're just saying how we feel about it, not textbook. Because even if you try and find a textbook definition, I don't think one exists.
Right,
Because
absolutely.
you go to any website and it's going to tell you something different.
Yeah. What is your feeling on it? Like, so you
So,
feel differently. So why do you feel, not why, but like how? Like, what's your idea of it?
well, I've been, regardless of how I came about it, I just said I was bisexual pretty much since I realized that I had a crush on that girl in high school. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been a while now, and at the time, I don't think pan was as prevalent
Mm-hmm.
of a distinction as it is now, or even 5 years ago. So I was just always going with bisexual, and bisexual to me was two or more genders, and that was it. You like two or more genders.
I mean, that makes sense too. Yeah.
And then when pansexual got more prevalent, I understood it to mean you're attracted to everyone. Pretty much
Well, yeah.
everyone who could be and is a consensual being could be someone you could be attracted to. Not saying you're attracted to everyone, but saying that you could be
Right, right.
attracted to anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, that sounds right to me. Like, so I switched to being pan. And then when I thought about it not too long ago, I was like, well, if bisexual is two or more genders, how does that not encompass everybody anyway? Because I wasn't thinking of it as personality versus body. I was just thinking of it
Mm-hmm.
as who a person is. And I was like, well, if it's two or more genders, that also would include trans men and trans women because they are men and women. And it would also include non binary because it's two or more genders. So then
Right.
who else is there? I
Yeah.
mean, it encompasses everybody if you say two or
I
more genders.
I think that's like what we were saying before with that's where like the lines really blur between the two and like attempting to put them in boxes and like that's why like, you just can't put it in a box
Right.
because then it becomes a whole debate of like are all bisexual people pansexual? Are pansexual people bisexual? No, but I feel like that could by the textbook definition of pansexual where you're attracted to the person regardless of gender that it would then make it to where bisexual people were pansexual, but
Right.
pansexuals are not bisexual because then you're coming back into the physical aspect of it. And that's why I just feel like it always goes back to like, I just like who I like. And like, it's so hard to like pinpoint or like put a label. Like, literally, that's what it is. Like, sometimes I feel like I have to walk around with like a little on my forehead because people just don't understand. Sometimes you try to explain it, it's like, oh, are you gay? Like, no, I'm not gay. I just like this person. So like that's again, there's a difference.
Yeah, it doesn't matter men, women, cis, trans,
Yeah,
non-binary, what parts you have, it doesn't matter. And it's
yeah,
like when you tell someone in the community, I feel like that you're bi, they might not think that you're all inclusive. So using pan seems to be less confusing in that aspect. But
hmm
if you tell somebody who is kind of ignorant in the subject that you're pan, they're like, what the fuck is that? But if
right,
you tell someone you're bisexual, they're just like, oh, okay. Like you're gay. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
whatever.
And then they go straight to the, oh, so you like men and women. Well, there's more than two genders, so that's not really how it works.
And at
But
some
that's what they
point,
assume because they don't know.
right, and at some point it's just not worth it to get into that argument because it's someone who will never understand.
Right. Yeah.
As
Because
much
you
as
can
you
try to
try and
educate.
educate people, it
Yeah.
yeah.
Twinsies. But I mean, but it's true, and like, and you try, but at the same time, like, who are we to educate people?
Right.
Like, we're not sitting here on some high horse trying to like be on a soapbox and like throw out all these other like little catchphrases and be like, we know more than you because we obviously don't. We can only
Right.
speak from our own life experiences, and like to try to explain to somebody, it's hard, and like you don't want to explain the wrong way, and you don't want to give people invalid information because then they're going to take it somewhere else and they're going to like, take their ignorance and then it's not going to make anything better because they're going to give incorrect information to somebody else who's ignorant on the topic, and then it just becomes more misconstrued, and then it comes back to bigotry because then it's like at some point everything is just kind of all swirled together, and there's no facts anymore, and so it's like I'd rather just have like a one-on-one conversation and be myself and not have to like, I don't know, not have to label myself is what I still come back to. But like if I
Right.
have to label myself, I'm gonna still go with pan because I feel like it encompasses me more because like I said my attraction is to the person.
Yeah. And I want to educate people and I want people to be more accepting, but sometimes you're giving bigots fuel for their fire too. So you want to be careful about that because I don't want to make things worse.
Right.
And obviously 2022 we're making leaps into more acceptance, but there's still tons of people out there who are bigots, and
hmm
I would love to educate them. I would love them to understand, but at some point they're not gonna, and they don't want to. So
Yeah.
you have to pick your battles. I mean, you don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation either.
Right. Definitely. So I feel like again, like it's another opportunity to give people the chance to like reach out if you want to reach out to us and you need someone to talk to. Maybe you're not out, or maybe you're trying to figure out what you are. We're not experts. Again, we're gonna say that, but we're definitely here to help you and be there for you. And you need help like figuring it out. But like Sarah said, definitely you want to do everything in like a safe way because you don't want to open yourself up for somebody to mistreat you or harm you physically. And unfortunately, we are still living in a world where that is definitely still the case because there are a lot of homophobic and bigoted people out there. So I get really emotional, then I talk fast and I'm like try to like keep myself down,
New
but like
words.
we're here for you and reach out to us and give us your feedback. And I mean, we take constructive criticism too. And if you want to tell us like why you think that like our particular view is different than yours, or like the difference, like we're saying between what we consider ourselves and like what you might consider us based on the information that we gave you about ourselves, like we're down to have that conversation. Constructive criticism, we're not asking for hate. Um,
Definitely not.
because we'll just block you. Well, we probably won't actually because we're very open and we, like we said, we'd rather educate and take the time to actually let people be themselves, and we are 100% here for you being you
And we are
and
very
for you
open to
listening to
be
us.
we're very open to be educated as well. So
Yes, 100%. You can, if we're using terms incorrectly, or you think that something we're saying is not accurate, we're definitely here to be educated in the proper terms and
Definitely.
all that good stuff.
And my suggestion is maybe don't come out on a podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're in our 30s, so we feel
Yeah,
safe doing this.
yeah,
We've already done the pros and cons, but if you're young looking to come out for the first time, probably not a podcast. Probably not a good idea.
yeah. I would definitely recommend putting yourself in a good, safe situation to do
Yes.
that. And I would say the podcast, social media, those wouldn't be the best places because it does open you up to public commentary, and that's not always a great thing. And while, like Sarah said before, we're making great strides in 2022, there are still a lot of people out there who are hateful just for the sake of being hateful, and
They
we are
think they're
hopefully not going
safe.
to have those.
Yeah, they think they're safe behind a screen. So,
Yeah.
don't want to end on a bad note. So,
No. So we we are going to be trying to do this like once a week. We'll be releasing these podcasts. We have some topics in mind, but if you have any recommendations, something you want to hear us talk about, like I said, we're talking out our asses, and that's the best way to do it, off the cuff, like zero education on the topic. Like we just
none.
want to do it for a fun time. And if you have some suggestions, again, hit us up on Twitter at chillandchild. It's ChillandChild, with those comments, questions, suggestions, and uh, anything else.
No, that's it. Thanks for joining us, and we'll
Okay.
talk to you next week.
All right, bye.